California, the most famous state in the USA. But hardly anyone knows all of its many faces, natural habitats which couldn't be more diverse. We show you nature in the Sun State up close and take you into nearly unknown worlds, normally hidden from the human eye. California borders the Pacific Ocean on the west along its entire length. Farther inland, the Sierra Nevada rises to a high plateau. The deepest and hottest point lies in Death Valley, an extension of the Mojave Desert, which together with the Colorado Desert makes up most of Southern California. Woken by the first light of dawn, the California sea lions are still sluggish. The night was very cold, and every warming ray of the sun is welcome. While some of the animals still sleep, others have already found their way into their element. Sea lions are warm-blooded mammals and can regulate their own body temperature, but they still seem to enjoy the warmth of the sun. Young sea lions are extremely playful. The playful antics serve to strengthen social ties, as well as to hone the skills and coordination the young animals need for hunting. The ocean off the cliffs, along the more rugged parts of California's coast, offers abundant nutrition for marine mammals. The California sea otter is among them. They are not only skilled hunters, but also very creative. This otter is using a stone as an anvil to get to the tasty and nutritional meat inside this clamshell. And this one uses a stone as a hammer to crack open a crab. Sea otters consume up to a third of their body weight each day, an unusually large amount for a mammal. One reason this creature needs so much energy is its skin. The otter doesn't have the fat layer typical to most other marine mammals, so a lot of energy is used to maintain its body temperature in the cool waters. The only insulation the otter has in the water is a thin layer of air along its fur. Sea otters can often be observed cleaning their thick fur. Female sea otters only nurse their young for a short time. Already at birth, the young animals have a full set of baby teeth. The mother animal purposely leaves small bits of meat for her offspring to get it used to solid food as quickly as possible. When not feeding or cleaning themselves, the otters often sleep up to half the day away. To keep from being swept out to sea, they roll themselves up in kelp leaves. The kelp fronds lie on the surface of the water like a giant carpet. A look under the surface reveals the true dimensions of these brown algae. The plant literally shoots out of the depths at a rate of up to 1 meter per day. It quickly reaches lengths of 45 meters and longer. Gas-filled bladders give the plants the necessary lift to grow straight up toward the surface. To keep from being swept away by the wind and the current, the plants anchor themselves firmly to the bottom. The network of adhesive fibers is used only to anchor the plant, not to derive nourishment. Nutrients are taken directly from the surrounding water. Ocean water and sunlight are all these plants need to create this kind of forest. This young Californian harbor seal looks like it is practicing its hunting skills. Quick acceleration and slow stealth approaches are both very important for a successful hunt. The seal often lurks motionlessly. With the markings of its fur, it blends very well into the coloring of the ocean floor. They do most of their hunting at depths of between 20 and 30 meters, but they have also been observed hunting as far as 400 meters down. Being mammals, they continually have to surface for air. Out of water, the animals vie for a place on the few outcroppings of rock along the coast. The older seals rest here for up to 12 hours a day. The younger ones, however, are continuously drawn back to playful expeditions in the Kelp Forest. The individual kelp plants rarely last more than 1 year. The aging process is most noticeable on the leaf-like fronds of the plants. Over the course of time, calcium-rich small organisms collect on the fronds and limit the amount of sunlight they can absorb. They slowly die off. Wind and waves tear at the plants as long as they live. At some point, they can no longer resist the force of the water, and the kelp is torn from its anchor and drifts out to sea. On land, dead or dying butterflies are everywhere. They are monarch butterflies from southern Canada. But why do they die here, thousands of kilometers from their home territory? Every year in the fall, the monarch butterflies come to California. Favorable winds help them along their way. Weighing only about 1 gram, the butterfly survives this long annual migration. Many of them will continue on to Mexico, but many remain here. They gather in dense groups in the trees near the coast. The butterflies are in search of a mating partner. The mating process begins on the ground. The pair attempt to press the underparts of their bodies together to make it possible for the male to fertilize the eggs the female is carrying. During the time they are joined in this mating dance, the insects are the most vulnerable to outside dangers. So the butterflies seek the relative safety of the trees as quickly as possible. After mating, the creatures go their own ways. The female begins her search for an appropriate place to lay her eggs. Out of the eggs, a whole new generation of monarch butterflies will hatch. A generation which will instinctively begin the age-old journey back up north. On the way, 3 additional generations will be born. Only the last one will make its way back to California. The males will not experience any of that. They have fulfilled their life's purpose and die shortly after mating. Spring has not yet arrived in the higher elevations of California. El Capitan, the trademark of Yosemite National Park, and the Yosemite Valley are the first to be touched by the warming rays of the sun. At this time of year, not too much water flows over Yosemite Falls. But when the snows melt, masses of raging water cascade over the falls into the valley below. At 438 meters, Yosemite Falls is the highest waterfall in the USA and the fifth highest in the world. The sunlight is still too weak to warm up the valley evenly. Moisture rises from the ground to form clouds of misty fog. Moisture evaporates from the wet foliage as well. Even the tree trunks steam as if they were burning from the inside. The fog rises with the warmer air and meets cold winter air above the valley floor. That intensifies the condensation of the moisture, which falls to the ground again as snow in the higher elevations of the Sierra Nevada mountains. Giant sequoias. These mammoth trees only grow at altitudes of between 1,400 and 2,000 meters. They belong to the family of redwood trees. The Californians named the giant trees sequoia in honor of the Cherokee Indian chief of the same name. They grow out of a pine cone no larger than a walnut, and some have reached an age of more than 3,200 years. An age that makes ancient history seem nearly within reach. These sequoias were already standing on this spot when Jesus Christ was born. Tall and majestic, they seem to stand above the passage of time. And yet, wind and weather can bring them down. Their root structure is very broad-based, but it does not grow very deep into the ground. Back in the Yosemite Valley, the precipitation falls in the form of rain. A coyote ranges through the valley in search of small rodents. Like wolves, coyotes are among the ancestors of many types of domesticated dog. Behavior similarities can be observed, especially when they hunt. Even though mating season doesn't start until the end of winter, the coyotes are already hunting in pairs. It looks like the male has found something this time. During the mating season, the female needs a lot of energy as well, so the coyotes are often forced to hunt late into the night. Just a few hundred kilometers to the south, the moon hangs suspended in the heavens over the Mojave Desert. As the name suggests, the Joshua tree, a type of yucca plant, characterizes the landscape of the Joshua Tree National Park. In the branches of the yucca tree, Mormon settlers saw the praying arms of the prophet Joshua, showing them the way to their promised land, a way that led them straight through the Mojave Desert. The temperature can quickly climb to 50 degrees centigrade and higher. Only specialized plants, like this cactus, can grow here. It has a simple strategy. Its offshoots break off easily and can be carried along by animals or the wind. Often, a single cactus can spread like an ocean over the desert. Life is often hard here for the black-tailed jackrabbit. While the sun is high overhead, the rabbit tries hard to cover the distance to its food and then back into the shade again as quickly as possible. As with most other desert dwellers, the rabbit covers its moisture needs through the food it eats. The green stick tree gets its name from the special way it has adjusted to the desert. During the hot months, the tree carries no leaves. Its branches take over the process of photosynthesis and are thus green. A surprise in the treetop, a hummingbird this far out in the desert. The solution to this mystery lies in this oasis in the middle of the desert. Among the plants on the oasis, the small hummingbird, weighing only a few grams, finds many flowering plants to provide its nectar needs. Wings beating more than 40 times per second allow this little bird to hover in front of the cups of the blossoms. It is incredibly quick and agile. Using a special recording technique, we were able to slow the hummingbird's wings down enough for you to see them. A pair of owls has found protection from the searing sunlight between wilting palm branches. These eagle owls are easy to identify because of their ears. Common to all owls are the large, light-sensitive eyes. An additional eyelid constantly cleans them and keeps them moist. Owls normally spend most of the day sleeping. They take up their hunt again at dusk. Until then, even seemingly easy prey doesn't awaken any interest. Heavy clouds are gathering. Rainfall is a gift for all life forms living in the desert. Even though the plants have been able to adjust to the dryness, the water is always welcome. Rain clouds don't hang around for long in the Mojave Desert. They briefly release a bit of their valuable cargo and move on, returning the desert to the clutches of the merciless sun. Almost before the ground has a chance to dry, the first new plants break the soil. The flora begins a fresh attempt to master the art of living in the Mojave Desert. Even the green stick tree forms young leaves between its branches, a foretaste of a short time of abundance in the midst of the desert. During the first days of spring, protected coves like this one attract local harbor seals. They gather from their normal cliff outcroppings to have their young in the protection of the cove. This female has been in the throes of labor for several hours already. Another digs a hole in the sand in which to bury the afterbirth later on and thus avoid attracting predators. The continuous labor seems to be just about over. This is the first birth for this young female. Normally, the amniotic sac breaks during the birth. This time, it doesn't. That which has protected the baby in the mother's womb up to this point now tragically robs it of its chance to live. Within just a few minutes, the baby suffocates and dies. This little seal pup has managed to survive his birth. The afterbirth is a special treat for the seagulls. The hole dug to receive it remains empty. Learning each other's scent strengthens the family bonds between mother and baby. They remember the unique smell all their lives. The dead infant will not develop a scent of its own, and yet the mother continues to fuss over it as if it were just asleep. Had the pup survived, it would have nursed several times a day. As with all other types of seal, the milk of the harbor seal is extremely nutritious and builds up the young seals very quickly. In the afternoon, the incoming tide reaches the seal colony. Already just a few hours after birth, the young harbor seals playfully get used to the ocean. What the mother was not able to do, the ocean has managed to accomplish. The waves have finally freed the dead baby seal from the amniotic sac. While one mother watches her little one swim, seagulls fight over the afterbirth of the dead seal pup. Helplessly, the mother seal tries in vain to protect the corpse from the hungry gulls. The ocean releases the new little swimmer in good shape. Finally, the waves bury the lifeless corpse beneath the surface of the ocean. The mother is left behind, alone. Next year, she will probably bear another offspring, and like the other mothers, learn to recognize her pup from then on by its scent. Wind and ocean currents have created an island of kelp out in open waters. The plant's air bladders keep the kelp afloat. The network of anchor fibers hangs useless below the surface. Islands like this are very important for fish living in the open sea where there is no protective vegetation. Various types of fish quickly settle in under the Kelp Island. Fish like this half-moonfish. Kelp Islands also attract larger animals. An ocean sunfish. It is the heaviest bony fish in the world and can get as heavy as 3 tons. From fin tip to fin tip, it can grow to be as long as 4 meters. Sunfish spend most of their lives in deep waters hunting for jellyfish. Several times a day, they swim to the surface to warm themselves in the rays of the sun. They purposely seek out the fish living under the kelp islands to let themselves be cleansed of parasites. The half-moonfish carefully pick small parasites off the skin of the giants. These wait patiently until the fish are finished with their skin care. Not all visitors to the kelp island are as peaceful and friendly as the sunfish. A blue shark approaches from the open sea. For him, the kelp island means prey. But the shark won't attack a grown sunfish. Instead, a surprise. The fish of the kelp island chase the shark and try to scrape their own parasites off on its rough shark skin. Some sunfish carry parasites that are so large that they require special treatment. For that, the fish visits seagulls resting close to the kelp island. As soon as one sunfish is free of parasites, the gull swims over to the next one. The line is often long. After some time, however, the gulls are able to free even the last sunfish from its irritating parasites. Like the kelp island, California is also a refuge for its inhabitants. Unknown beauty lies just waiting to be discovered all across the countryside. But the gentle sunfish only stay a short while, and then continue on in their wanderings through the vast oceans of the world.